Welcome to the second presentation of this topic, from disaster phase to a resilience thinking approach. Building resilience requires improving the performance of the system as a whole. To that aim, there are some key principles and qualities to consider. We expect that when you have completed this presentation and topic, you will be able to list them. Moreover, we hope that you can start identifying the opportunities and challenges of building resilient watch systems at your workplace.
We have been stuck in a cycle of disaster, respond, recover, repeat. Climate change, ecosystem fragility, disease outbreaks, urbanization, mass displacement, and geopolitical instability all interact with each other, which means that shocks, stresses, and crises reverberate globally. The hyperconnectivity of our world fuels crisis even more. And despite all the evidence, prevention is not prioritized. We need to go from risk to resilience. Resilience is the capacity of societies and ecosystems to persist, adapt, or transform in the face of shocks and stresses. Resilience helps reduce disaster impacts. It is not only about resisting change or bouncing back, it's about living with change and continuing to develop.
There are 6 principles to bridge between risk and resilience. Let's look at each of them one by one. The first one, carry out local capacity needs assessments early enough. Flexible and adaptive interventions start by shaping the program's design to the specific context. To that end, carrying out a capacity needs assessment early enough, it is very important. The second one, about planning and design capacity building programs for lasting impact. Comprehensive planning requires to design capacity building plans thinking about the sustainability of the service over time. Sustainability can be achieved by improving the links between project interventions across the sustainability dimensions and monitoring the activities and evaluating the expected outcomes and impacts. The third one, about fostering ownership and engaged political support, implies engaging those for which the program or project is targeted and partner with strategic leaders who can support the implementation. The fourth one, about strengthening not only the technical but also the functional capacities before the disaster strikes. This actually requires to give more attention to the abilities of the stakeholders to take informed, effective, and collective decisions for disaster risk management. The fifth one, working across organizations, sectors, and levels, requires to build skills for integration and collaboration between actors and sectors that facilitate long-term changes. Moreover, building disaster risk management capacities at all levels, including those ones that are often overlooked like the local and community level. The last one, and perhaps the most important to bridge between risk and resilience, it is to look beyond the short-term management of specific hazard events and consider prevention, mitigation, and long-term recovery by looking at the changes of risk over time, and by considering the underlying causes of vulnerability and how different groups may be vulnerable to disasters in different ways. When trying to implement these 6 guiding principles to build resilient watch systems at your workplace, what opportunities and challenges come to your mind? Let's think about one example that you could share during the workshop live session. Overall, we can follow these principles and build the resilience capacities to cope, adapt, and transform by strengthening key qualities of the system performance. These are robustness, redundancy, resourcefulness, rapidity, flexibility, inclusiveness, reflectiveness, and integration. Let's specifying these qualities but focusing on our performance when facing a problematic situation. Robustness is the ability to continue functioning despite disturbances by anticipating potential failure. Redundancy, it is the availability of resources or redundant parts to remain functional. Resourcefulness instead refers to the ability to mobilize when threatened by considering multiple ways to achieve a given need in a cost-effective way. And rapidity is the ability to contain losses and record in a timely manner. Let's look at some examples from the experiences of the IHE lectures involved in this graduate program.
The robustness or ability to function, despite the impacts of shocks, is not only achieved with building infrastructure. For example, we can make water points more robust by forming a user committee and enhancing its capacity to care of water points and smoothly operate and maintain them. I was working as head of program, and redundancy or functional diversity was introduced by adding a layer in our organizational structure. It was a program coordinator who would follow up tasks of the head when needed, coordinate with project managers, and in future take up the role of the head. When providing water and sanitation services for people in peri-urban areas, we also had to be resourceful. The government often do not have the capacity to reach those areas and respond to people's need. We gave them information on the process of seeking funds and helped them to come together and prioritize what is needed. Last but not least, rapidity is important. That is being able to monitor and react. In some of our projects, we introduced early warning systems for flood by measuring water level in rivers and informed the communities when it reached dangerous water level.
What is the definition of the last four qualities? Flexibility refers to the decentralized and modular approaches that incorporate both new technologies and traditional knowledge. Inclusiveness refers to the broad consultation and engagement of the most vulnerable groups, contributing to a shared ownership and a joint vision. Integration, it is the alignment within and between systems and across different scales of operation, and reflectiveness refers to the systematic learning from experiences of the people and institutions involved in the system to inform decision making. Let's again look at some examples from one. This time we asked Gabriela Cuadrado Quesada, lecturer of the first module of the graduate program in Humanitarian WASH. Many years ago, while she was working in Costa Rica with environmental and water organizations, she realized that the concept of resilience it is not applied on its full extension, meaning that the transformative capacity it is almost never reached. For example, many agricultural plantations pollute water sources. Although communities have been flexible enough to look for alternative ways to produce food and protect water sources, plantations continue to expand and polluting resources. Therefore, this is not a long-term solution. Gabriela's example about inclusiveness and reflectiveness actually refers to the opportunities that the government has missed to take a more reflective approach and to address the root causes of the problem by including the communities in the discussions about where and, more important, how these plantations should work. Therefore, Gabriela suggests that more integrated solutions are necessary, based on the control and the supervision of the agricultural plantations by government agencies, the enforcement of international environmental policies, and the monitoring of the effects of these plantations, which affect both the communities and the environment. To conclude, and maybe as a take-home message of this presentation, to focus more on the adaptive and transforming capacity, building resilient systems should consider outcomes at 4 levels. People, referring to the health and well-being of individuals, system services, which are actually provided at the place, economy and society, which refers to the organizations, and leadership and strategy, which refers to the knowledge and the way